McKay, it is time, friends, for us to dig into some numbers so you know what that means. Oh, yes, it is the stat market opening bell. We give you the stats. You buy or sell whether the trends will continue. First up, MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is struggling from the free throw line this season, averaging a career worst 59%. His career high, 77%. He was 70 2 seasons ago when he won his first MVP. It has gone down since there. Richard, do you buy or sell these struggles from the charity stripe continuing through this season?
I'm going to buy it. Ultimately, I think he will improve. I don't know if he's going. I don't think he's going to go down, but I think he's still going to end up with a career worst. Mainly because I think the pressure is starting to mount. And look, there's no fans in stadiums. You're not traveling as much. You're a little bit less fatigued. So it's like all of these things should mean your body's fresher. You're more familiar because you're playing like 2 games in one arena, right? Against the same team. So I just think he's going to continue to struggle. But ultimately, that's why there are question marks about whether the Bucks can finish. Look, he had a game where he was 1 for 10 or 1 for 9. Like that's absurd. Like that's for a guy of that caliber that works as hard as he is. That's more mental than it is physical.
Exactly. I agree. That is highlighting the mental aspect, especially when it comes to the free throw line. And for that reason, I'm going to continue to sell this because I feel like we all sort of bear a little bit of responsibility when it comes to Giannis Antetokounmpo and his, shooting percentages, just because I think we tend to think about what he should be, not what he actually is in this moment. We all know that he's a freak athlete with good handles that cannot be stopped in the paint and can hit occasionally, that mid-range that's working on his free throws. But we all know that he will give you 30 points a night, whether it is attacking the rim or just getting it in transition. And so I feel like the expectations and the conversations are sort of forcing him to play this mental game that's probably not his best versus appreciating what he actually does well. And that's just getting to the rim and scoring and improving his game over time.
But today, who he is, at least for a while, was a 70-something% free throw shooter. So we know that that's not looking for him to be something he can't be. It's looking for him to be what he was just a few years ago.
Okay, your girl, when I started at Stanford, I think I was like a 60% free throw shooter. So I've been through the works. Your girl is now at 80% and working her way up. So some seasons it's hard. Some seasons it's easier. But this is one of those things where I think this season it just maybe has gotten into his head and we feel like he'll get back to at least better than average. And that's not what we're seeing right now.
Giving her that stink eye, Richard. Come on. She's improving.
No, well, my only thing about it is when you talk about bearing the responsibility, I hear you and I understand what you're saying, but part of being a professional athlete, as you know, is tuning out all the noise. Don't listen to what everybody else is saying. His free throw percentage was something that was a compliment to his game because he was such a great paint attacker, one of the best guys in the paint, was amazing in transition, and he knocked down his free throws. That was wow. He's Shaq with that can knock down free throws, but he has digressed. And sometimes it is like we talked about, it's always about the mental aspect of the game. He should not be regressing and going backwards, on his free throw percentage. And I think some of it has to do is no one is immune to the struggle, and everyone is if the only thing that is going to stop you guys from winning your championship is the ability to either shoot outside shots or knock down free throws. And his jumper is not progressing the way he would like, and it's starting to affect his free throws from a mental aspect. That's really just the cold hard truth.
Well, let's move on, guys, because we want to talk Zion Williamson also dominating in the paint. In fact, he's averaging 17.9 points per game in the paint this season. That is on pace to be the highest of anybody over the past 15 years. Janae, do you buy or sell Zion sustaining this pace?
I am buying this, all of it. Whatever GameStop was happening a week, when it was all good, that's the same type of thing that I'm buying.
You get that energy.
Now, again, like you said, Rach, for sure, leading the league in points per game when it comes to the paint. He has the highest field goal percentage by any NBA player by a long shot. And he's just now figuring out the game. Again, this could potentially be an extension of his rookie season where he only played 30 plus games. He's still figuring it out. But one thing he knows is if it ain't broke, You don't need to fix it. He's going to get to the rim at will. He's a guy you don't have to run plays for. That's a beauty. That's heaven for a coach. And what does he do? He gets those touches. He gets those deflections. He gets extra possessions, and he finishes at the rim. And I feel like that's what he's known for, and that's what he's going to stick to.
No, I agree, Chiney. I think the funny thing is, like, when you look at players like Ben Simmons, when you look at players like Giannis, everyone focuses on what they need to improve on. Well, right now, Zion is in that phase where it's just like, hey, go play your game. Go figure out your game. We're not going to critique you on whether your 3-point percentage or just go play. And he's dominating in the paint. You go look at Giannis's MVP years, dominate in the paint. So I think I am 100% buying because Zion has little to no pressure other than being the number one pick and all that. He has no pressure to go prove that he can do something else because everyone just wants to see what he's capable of doing before him trying to prove what he can do. Oh, I can shoot jumpers. I can do this. I can do that. Right now, it's like, hey, you want to go and
Giannis.
Score 18 points in the paint? Do it every night. Yeah, learn.
All right, guys, let's get to the Phoenix Suns as well. They are winning this season and doing so with defense. As you can see, they defend the three really well. They rank in the top 5 overall in defensive efficiency. Richard, do you buy or sell the Suns as a top 5 defense for the rest of this season?
I'm going to say I'm going to sell, but I don't think they're going to drop out of the top 10. I think, the fact that they are a top 10 defensive team, the fact that they're right now, like a couple months in at number 5 means that's kind of who they are, right? Do I think they'll maintain being a top 5 defensive team? I think that'll be tough, but if they drop to 7, if they drop to 8, I think that they're still a playoff team. And I think that's a compliment to the coaching staff. I think that's a compliment to what Chris Paul has done. And also all the young players that are listening to all of the defensive responsibilities and making sure that they do it every single night. Because that's what a top 10 defensive team does. They bring it every night.
And Rach, I'm a high risk, high reward investor. Ooh. And so therefore I'm going to buy into this because I feel like based on the talent level right now in the NBA, which is so deep, we've got Brooklyn, we've got LA's plural, we've got Philly, we've got Milwaukee to compete, which Chris Paul wants to do. That's why he made this move there, to compete with that type of top tier talent. I feel like the Phoenix Suns, they will need their defense as their edge. Chris Paul, 7-time all defensive team type of player. You now have that rim protector in Ayton, and you have a lot of switchable wings. If I am, coaching that squad, Monty Williams, I'm telling them defense is our bread and butter, and then we will let our chemistry build, and we will compete through, leading, with Chris Paul at our point guard position.
Well, you're making our researcher, Michael Schwartz, extremely happy, Chiney. He is a diehard Suns fan. This season, it's been a decade since they've been in the playoffs, people. This season is all he has. So thank you for buying on that, just for him. Chiney has to get to her radio show. Thank you so much, my friend, for joining us today. And that is the closing bell, meaning the stat market is done for the day. We will be back with another edition soon. Coming up, Richard's going to stick with me. Anthony Davis's scoring has taken a slight dip so far this season. Does his slower start matter? Our Lakers reporter, Dave McMenamin, is going to be joining us to discuss. First, though, here is what the Jump recommends for today.